Okay, so slope tells us two things. It's going to tell us how steep the line is. So it's going to tell us how steep the line is. And it's also going to tell us which direction the line goes. So which direction the line goes, I'm talking positive, negative, 0, undefined. Steep is where we find the slope. Does anybody know what slope means? If you're counting slope on the graph? No? Okay, that's okay. Okay, so after watching Slope Dude, we're going to take a look at these lines and determine which direction the line's going. So if you're reading this line from left to right, you're going to come directly to the bottom and you're going to work your way up. So if you're working your way up, it's going to be puff, puff, positive. Okay? Then if you come to this next line, going left to right, it's on the downward. So if it's downward, it's going to be negative. If it is a straight horizontal line, that's going to be called 0. This next line here is going to be what? Undefined. Nah, it's not straight up and down, is it? Negative. It's going to be negative. But the line next to it is a straight vertical line. That's going to be what? Undefined. And then again, if you're going from left to right, it's going to be positive. Okay. So the slope formula. So the slope formula on your sheet, you have slope equals. We're going to talk about rise over run. Put that up and write this down. So rise over run. So the first slope formula we're going to talk about is rise over run. We're also going to talk about the other slope formula on the back sheet of this notes, but right now we're going to focus on this one. Sometimes they are going to give you a line, and the only thing that they're going to give you is a line on that graph. You're going to have to determine what the slope of that line is by just counting. So rise over run. What do you think rise means?
Go up.
Go up, and run means? Over. Go over. So I always kind of think about it. If I'm sitting at my desk, rise, you stand up, and then run. Are you going to run left or right? Right. Good. Because it's better to run right because then you're not dealing with as many negatives. Okay, where a line goes through a blank and a blank grid line. So what is a lattice point? So a lattice point is where a line goes through a what and what type of grid line?
X.
Well, what's X mean? X is what line?
Side to side, Y is up and down.
So what's that side to side word mean? I heard somebody say it. Side to side. Horizontal. So lattice point is where it goes through a horizontal and a, so we're going through a horizontal and a vertical grid line. Okay, so basically, if you're looking at this line and you needed to identify each lattice point, you have to look where that line crossed straight through those lattice points. So if I'm looking at my green line here, would this here be a lattice point? No, because it's not going through the intersection of the horizontal and vertical line. So my first lattice point is actually going to be right here. Do I have any other lattice points? Yeah, where? Can somebody come show me? On the board? Can somebody come up and show me the next lattice point on the board? Come on, Ben, show me. Yeah, just touch.
Right here.
Okay, there's my next lattice point. Maddie, find me another lattice point. Yeah, there's another lattice point. Hannah, show me another lattice point. Bam. Emily, show me another lattice point. Oh. Good. Chance, show me another lattice point.
Is this example one?
There isn't one. No, this is an example one. I'm just showing you what a lattice point is. Okay, so the whole point, well, Ms. Lidekin, why do we need to know what a lattice point? You need to know what a lattice point is because you're going to use those lattice points to find slope. So as Slope Dude said, we're always going to start from left to right. So I'm going to identify, you can pick any of these lattice points, okay? But I'm just going to pick this lattice point here. You're always going to work this way. So we're not going to count down. We're going to count up and over. So if we're going to do rise, so I'm going to start at this lattice point. How many spaces up do I need to go for my run?
2.
And how many over do I need to go for my, for my rise? 1. So my slope is going to be what? My rise was what?
2 over 1.
And my run was 1. So the slope is 2 over 1. Now, when you're talking about slope, you're using a lowercase m, okay? So anytime you're talking about slope, if you would just put 2 over 1, I'd take a point off because I don't know what you're talking about. So always make sure you use that lowercase m to represent slope. Okay, so that's today's first part of today's lesson, is finding lattice points and then finding slope from those lattice points. So let's take a look at example number 1 here. So we have example number 1. The first thing that we're going to do for example number 1, again, is find the lattice points. Josh, can you come up here and point out the lattice points to me, please?
Oh, all of them?
Yep. I know I'm putting you to work.
Come on, Josh. You
Just
can
snap
do it.
myself in.
This is
Okay.
example 1.
This is example number 1. So on your graph, for example number 1, good job, you're going to identify each of your lattice points. And we're going to pick 2 of those lattice points to determine what the slope of this line is. Just looking at this line, is it going to be 0, undefined, negative, or positive? What kind of slope does that? It is a positive slope. We're going to come over. You can either write it directly below it. You're going to put slope, so m, equals. So let's start at my lattice point at my furthest left. So slope is rise over run. If I rise, it's kind of like driving a car. You have to stay on the grid lines. That's your road, okay? So you're going to rise how many?
2.
And run how many?
1.
So my slope is 2 over 1. Now, what's another way of saying the slope?
Do we have to
I rise
box
2
it?
and run.
Well, you could just put what? 2, right? I prefer to see it in the fraction form, but sometimes you'll see where slope is just a 2. If it's just a 2, you need to know automatically the run will be 1. Or if it's just a whole number, you need to remember that the run will then be 1. Okay, let's look at example number 2.
So do we have to box it?
Yes. You still are going to box your final answer. Thank you, Emily.
No problem.
All right, example number 2. Let's have Dylan come on up. Come on down. Show me the lattice points.
Right there?
Wouldn't it be a lot more awesome if I had a smart board for this? Good job.
You can pull up that board.
But it still doesn't. If I touch it, it doesn't work.
No, but like right.
Oh! Yeah, you could. I made fun of her, but she had a point. Not a lattice point, but she had a point. Okay. Which lattice point? Can I start at this lattice point and find the slope? Yeah. Can I start at this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I start at this one, though, I'm not going to count down, okay? It does not matter which lattice point I start at, as long as I start at one and I go up and over. Okay, so let's start at this one. So what's my rise going to be?
3.
And my run?
1.
So my slope is, so I just went 3 over 1.
Oh man, we need to have like standing desk. That'd be so
You can
cool.
stand.
No, like standing desk.
Yeah, a higher level.
I like when I fall asleep.
If I have somebody first hour that stands back on by that file cabinet all the time.
I might start.
All right, let's take a look at example number 3. So what kind of line is example number 3?
Negative.
It is a negative line. Hannah, come show me all of my lattice points. You can... Good.
There you go, I did it. Oh.
You beat me?
Oh, and if it's
Okay. Which lattice point am I going to start at to find my slope? Emily, you want to go up and show me? No? Can somebody show me a lattice point to start at? Ben?
Far left.
Far left one. So I'm going to start at this lattice point, and I'm going to work my way to this lattice point. But what if I decided I wanted to do this lattice point and this lattice point? Is that okay to do?
That's what I did.
Yeah. So you can pick the furthest lattice points away from each other. If we do that, let's see. What's my rise going to be?
Waiting for which one?
If I'm going to, okay, so I'm not going to use that lattice point yet. I'm going to use the two lattice points that are furthest apart. So if I'm going to, well, you guys told me that this line is going to be negative. So if it's going to be negative, remember, negative could not go on the bottom. It's going to be on the top or in the middle. So I'm going to count down, right? How many spots am I going to go down? 4. Okay, so 4. And then how many spots am I going to run? 6. What's wrong with this? It's not simplified, okay? What are you going to say, Ben? Okay, so to simplify it, we're going to divide by 2 and get slope equals what? Negative 2 over 3. So there's our final answer.
I got that answer, but you did like so many more steps.
Okay, now let's say that I'm going to use the first lattice point and the lattice point closest to it. Okay, I'm going to use those two and find my slope. So how many am I going to count? What's my rise?
2.
What is it?
2.
No, negative 2.
Over 3.
Negative 2, and then what's my run? 3. So you end up with the same slope. What's the benefit of doing the lattice points that are closest together?
It takes less time.
Faster, takes less time because you don't have to.
I forgot your line.
What, I forget?
Your line to divide your line.
You messed me up. I skipped that one.
It's faster, it's less time, but you don't have to simplify, right?
Yeah.
So if you use lattice points that are further apart, you may have to simplify. If you use lattice points that are closer together, you're not going to have to simplify. Yes?
I still got the same answer, but I did it from the last lattice point up to the middle one. That's still alright?
No. Why is that not all right? Did you listen to anything Slope Dude taught us?
Obviously not.
Okay, because did Slope Dude say we should go from right to left?
No.
No. What did Slope Dude say we should do?
I still got it right, though.
Left to right. Long term, you got lucky, you got it right there. But their problems are going to get more complicated, so you don't want to do that.
So if it's negative, you go down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Just think of it like a number line. If you go up, it's positive. But if you start going down, it's negative. Okay. Last example, example number 4. What type of slope does this line have? Puff, puff, positive. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get our lattice points on there for us. Do you guys want to use the closest lattice points or the ones that are further apart? Closest. So we're going to go left to right. So my first lattice point to the left is right here. What's my rise going to be?
1.
And then my run?
3.
So I have slope equals
1 over
1
3.
over 3. Good. That is one way you can identify slope. Okay? Flip your notes over to the back. There's another way that you can identify slope. So if I just give you 2 ordered pairs, you can graph them and then count the slope, or you can use the slope formula, okay? So the slope formula, does anybody think they know it? Josh?
Isn't it y1 minus y2?
You're so super close.
Is it reversed?
It's reversed. Hannah?
X1 minus X2.
You're close.
X x2 minus x.
There we go. So the real slope formula, you guys pretty much have it.
I got it right.
No, you said y1 first.
No, I said y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1.
Do you guys agree? I think he said y1
No, on
first.
the third one, we've been cut off.
Your third chance. Okay, I get it. Okay, so the real slope formula, write it down because you can use it on your quiz and your notes, or your quiz and your worksheets and your test. But if you come to me and say, Miss Lidikin, set up for me. If you come to me and say, Miss Lidikin, what's the slope formula? And I'm going to say, look at your notes, and you're going to be like, I didn't write it down. I'm going to be saying, oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Not helping. No, not going to happen. Okay, so make sure you write the slope formula down.
Josh, do this.
Huh?
I was like mine down.
All I know is like
You need to write this down.
I already have these notes at home.
That's okay. You're going to write this down. Okay, so example number 5. You're given 2 ordered pairs. Now, if I gave you a coordinate plane, you could graph them and then find the slope of each point that you plotted. But I didn't do that. I just gave you the ordered pairs. So we're going to use the slope formula to determine what the slope of these 2 ordered pairs are going to equal. First thing that I like to do, you guys know at this point, I'm a visual learner. It helps me to see things. So I label my ordered pairs. Because this ordered pair comes first, I'm going to label it x1, y1. And because my ordered pair here comes second, I'm going to put it x2, y2. That just gives me a quick reference point for when I'm writing my formula out of what I should plug in where. When you go to show your work for this, I expect to see you put m, a lowercase m, to show me that you're finding slope. You do not have to write what I'm writing here. You do not have to show this step, okay? I'm just writing that for my own personal visual cue. So you do not have to write the second step. So then all we're going to do is substitute the numbers for each formula. So what do I put in for y2?
3.
And then I bring in my subtraction sign. And then what do I put in for my y1?
Negative 3.
-3, okay? Then what do I substitute for x2?
Negative.
And then my operation sign is minus. And then what do I substitute for x1?
Negative 2.
Okay. Anytime, so I have 3 minus -3. 2 negatives touching is a,
Positive.
so I'm just going to change that to a positive. 2 negatives touching is a, so I'm going to change my bottom as well. And then we just simplify. So what's 3 plus 3?
6.
And what's 0 plus 2? Now here's the part that we're going to have to do because we don't have the lattice points to use the closest together. We're going to have 6 over 2. We're going to have to simplify. What are 6 and 2 both divisible by? 2. So 6 divided by 2 is? And that's my final answer. So what should I do with my final answer? Box it. You don't need to box the entire thing, but box where your final answer is. So when you go to take a quiz over this on Friday, what I'm going to look to see is that you have your m to show me your finding slope, that you have your y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1, that you have your answer, and that you simplified if necessary. Okay, so that's example number 5. Let's take a look at example number 6. So example number 6, again, I'm going to label mine just because I like to label them. So my first ordered pair I should label as what? 1s or 2s? 1s, right? My second ordered pair as 2s. When I drop down, Dylan, what do I write first?
M equals
Okay.
2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1.
Now again, you don't have to write this step. I think it's beneficial. I think it's helpful, but you don't have to show that step. Okay, so what do I substitute for y2?
9,
What do I bring down next?
7,
Bring down your operation sign. What's my operation sign in our formula?
subtract
Okay, and then my y1.
7.
Okay. Bottom.
Then x2 is 5 minus 1.
Okay. And then we go ahead and solve. 9 minus 7.
12.
What?
2.
Did you say 12?
No.
I heard 12.
I heard 12.
I think you added it. Wait, even then.
No.
No, what did you do?
What did you do?
9 minus 7.
It's
Huh?
12.
Wait.
Calculator.
That's 2.
No, he has it right. He's just saying it's goofy. What's 5 minus 1?
4.
And then, am I done?
No, simplify.
Simplify it. What are they both divisible by?
2 and
1 over 2.
comes up to half.
Yes. Good. All right.
M equals 1 over 2.
1 over 2. Hey, you can't just sit in here and sleep and not participate.
I have to put the y1.
Your head, you can lay it down, but I want you to write still, okay?
I have to put the y minus y1.
All right, let's do example number 7. Example number 7. Ooh, look at all these negatives. It'll be so much fun. What's this M stand for? slope. Okay, set my formula up for me. Riley.
-3. -5. So you change it to positive.
Yes, because we're going to put our operation sign, we're going to bring the subtraction sign over, and then we're going to put in our -5, which Riley said 2 negatives touching will go to a positive. So he wanted to change that right away. Good. Okay, and then my bottom?
-4.
-4, then what's my operation sign?
Subtract.
Okay, and then what's the second number that I'm going to substitute?
2.
What type of 2?
Or negative.
And you told me in the previous one, 2 negatives touching turns to a
Positive.
positive. That's an ugly positive, but we get the gist. Okay, go ahead and solve for me.
So it'll be -8.
Well, -3 plus 5. You owe me $3. You pay me 5. How much money do I have? You owed me 3. You paid me 5. How much money do I have in my pocket now?
$2.
2. So it's going to be a positive 2. And then -4 plus 2,
Actually, you'd have $5.
-2. Now, I have 2 problems here. Josh?
I was just going to say, we simplify.
Okay, which equals
1 over negative
1 over -1.
1 over 1. I have this negative on the bottom. Can I keep that negative on the bottom? No.
Oh, no, he brings us out.
Move it to the top. Okay?
I would agree.
Do we have to simplify?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I feel like simplify is the easiest thing.
When you're dealing with smaller numbers, yes.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with larger numbers, it can be
when it's like
it can be tedious.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I think even numbers are. Okay, example number 8. Again, I just like to label.
Oh, you changed it.
Okay, who haven't I heard from in a minute? Chance, let's pick on you for a minute. Go ahead and tell me what I'm going to write for my formula. You don't have to tell me like y2 minus y1, but what am I going to go ahead and start substituting?
Well, it's y2 minus y1, and so it's 3 minus 3.
3 minus what? What kind of 3 is that?
Negative 3.
-3 over
-2
bring in your operation sign,
minus
then
-2.
there you go. So we know 2 negatives touching, you guys, goes to a positive. Okay. What's 3 plus 3?
6.
What's 2 plus 2? Oh, excuse me. What's -2 plus
0.
2? 0.
Then equals 6.
Do me a favor, in your calculators, take your calculator out.
It's like ours with yours.
Well, a calculator, any calculator.
Okay, Leeway grab mine.
Conservative 5 right
This is square 9.
Mm-mm.
now. My phone, do not disturb.
In your calculator. Nope, can't use your phone.
It's vibrating.
In your calculator. Oh, your phone, yes. In your calculator, type in 6 divided by 0.
0.
What do you get when you type in 6 divided by 0?
0.
You sure?
I got math error. That's what I got.
Josh, type in 6 divided by 0.
It's undefined.
I know.
I got a math.
Okay,
Oh my
so
God.
if I have 6 candy bars here, can I divide them into 0 groups?
No.
It doesn't work.
'Cause you have
So
zero.
anytime your run is a 0, it's going to be undefined.
Is it the 0 with the slash through it?
Okay? So you write in undefined. And that's your answer. Now, undefined, what kind of line is that?
Oh, you did the 0 with the slash.
Anytime the bottom is a 0.
Yep, anytime the bottom is 0, it's going to be undefined. A straight line. This way or this way. You show me this way, and that means vertical. So if it's undefined, if you're slope dude and you're skiing on that undefined line, you'll no longer be in existence. Okay. I don't know the answer to that question.
It's what last year. You let us do a 0.
0 with the line through it. I'll check on that. Okay.
Then I did it back.
I've never done it like that before, but that doesn't mean that it's not a thing. So let me check on that. And no, I wasn't going to ignore it. I was going to check after you left and get back to you. Yes, Josh. I don't want to talk to you anymore today. We are done. Okay. Who's got this one?
I do it.
All right, Ben. I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm doing it on 8 because it's the last problem I put on 9.
Okay. M equals.
M equals -3 minus -3
Okay.
over 0 minus -2.
Okay. Anytime two negatives touch, we already know that they go to positive. Okay. What's -3 plus 3
Will be 0.
over 0 plus 2? Okay. What's 0 divided by 2? No. Say it again. 0. So here, it's going to be 0, which means basically you could write it as that, or you could write it as this. And what kind of line are you going to have if you have a 0 slope? What's that straight line across left or right called?
0, 0, fun.
0 or horizontal. Good.
I got a 0 and just
All right. Write example number 10 done. Oh, here's these big numbers we just talked about. So example number 10, you were going to write down. Bring it back to me completed correct. Completed done. You have it done correctly. And then you guys can show it to me and then you can earn some candy for it tomorrow. Okay?